Today I'm going to continue the series of Watch Dealer Tells All. Should you consign your Rolex or any of your other watches? I'm going to be talking about behind the scenes, the dark side of consignment. Do stay on for the entire video to hear my thoughts and to dive deep into watch consignment. So this video is going to ruffle feathers again, just like my previous video. If you want to watch my previous video of Watch Dealer Tells All about Rolex prices tanking and what really happens behind the scenes between dealers and why Rolex prices are dropping and the whole grey market in general, check it out in the link in the description below, where I had a whole video talking about that topic. So let's talk about what is consigning your watch. Basically, a watch consignment means that you give a watch dealer or a shop or someone your possession of your Rolex watch or any watch, and they take it, they sell it in the shop, they do all the marketing, and at the end of it, when they sell the watch to an interested buyer, they will take a cut about 10, 15, 20% of the watch value and the consignment price that they claim that they have sold to the customer. Of course, this is how it works in theory. Sounds very good. You hand over your watch, somebody sells it to you. Fantastic. Sounds great in theory. But what really happens behind the scenes? I remember when I first got into watches, before we started TwoSecondsWatch.com, I was walking to a store buying my first luxury watch, and they had something which really caught my eye. You could buy a Rolex watch, and at the end of it, they guarantee a 95% or 100% buyback if you want to trade in that Rolex watch from them, and they will take it back at that price. Sounds very attractive, except in some cases, they will tell you that you could get 100% or 120% and make a profit off the Rolex if you were to consign it with them. And if you consign it with them, you're going to get much more. So rather than people opting to get their 90% of watch value when they buy from them as a trade-in, most people will actually do consignment instead, because then you will get the market rate and they would promise you that they will sell it for 120% of the market rate, or maybe 150% of the recommended retail price of the watch, depending on how popular the watch is. So that's how consignment became very, very popular. And this was very, very normal. In most of the watch dealers, most of the watch stores, pre-owned watch stores, they were doing this. But what really happens behind the scenes? Now, let me just first state the obvious, is that 2secondswatch.com, we do not do watch consignment. If we like a watch, we buy it. We purchase the watch. We curate the watches. We choose the watches that we want to sell. We are watch enthusiasts ourselves. If we don't want a watch, we won't even consign it. If you are not aware, many pre-owned watch stores and dealers work with other dealers. So sometimes they might pass the watch around, and that is quite normal in the business of watches. So when you do consignment, you're pretty much giving your watch to a dealer, and in most cases, they will pass it to other dealers, because the reality is the other dealers might be buying the watches, or they will try to sell the watches. So they have a network where they will pass it around. Maybe they have 5 or 6 dealers, 5 or 6 pre-owned stores, and if there are any buyers, sometimes they pass the watch around. Sometimes the dealers will take the watches, they will take more photos that is actually the same watches. So here's the thing, most people don't know that they're passing the watches. You don't believe me? After you consign the watch, go back to the store and try to find the watch. It might not be there. They will say that they're showing it to a customer, it's out there today, there's a customer requesting a viewing, that's why they took it out, and maybe there's some other people that they want to show it to. That is a story they'll tell you. But in most cases, you won't find the watch. In fact, when you consign the watch, there will be a contract or something where you sign. But look, at the end of the day, even if they sign the contract, basically they can do whatever they want. If you watch the Theo and Harris video where they talk about the timepiece gentleman, Anthony Farrer, and how he was, in this whole thing, and hey, you know what? He was very famous on YouTube as well. He was a watch dealer, he was flexing his entire lifestyle. But what was actually happening behind the scenes?
Delaying, ghosting, coming back, delaying. Meanwhile, he actualized, or he cashed out the $300,000 or $200,000 weeks ago. The watch is gone. God knows where that watch is.
Huge personality.
Right now, the watch is actually, when it's going to be, reported stolen. So now even the buyer is screwed too. Like, everyone's screwed here. But that, that's it. It's kind of an easy scam, and any dealer could do it. Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, right.
What are you going to do? Well, the only reason he's going to jail is because he did to so many people, and he confessed to it online, which is kind of where this conversation goes. Like, if he didn't admit to this publicly,
sure,
I don't know. I have no real reason to believe that he would have been indicted so quickly, if at all. Like, I don't know.
He can pretty much do whatever he wants, and he did it. Dealers can do whatever they want, and you don't even have any way to come back to them, and they don't have to disclose it. They don't do it with your permission. I won't be surprised if many dealers actually sell watches between dealers. That's very normal. And sometimes they collected the money, sometimes they mix into their credit between each other. Of course, there are some very good dealers, very established brands, but who's to say they do not mix some of the watches into the company accounts and let the company roll as cash flow, and they buy other watches which they can sell at different prices too and make a profit. They even have dealers credits between each other. So one dealer might say, hey, look, I have a credit with you, I owe you this money, you owe me this money, we're swapping watches. They have an account with each other, they're based on trust. That could be what happens to your watch. And all it takes in this chain is for one dealer or one person to say, hey, look, I use the money to maybe buy another watch. Okay, maybe they don't take it and they spend it like Anthony Farrer, okay? The timepiece gentleman. They don't take it and they use the money. But they will take the money and they could purchase another watch. And that's what happens. Like in my last video when I talk about the Rolex prices dropping, one of the reasons is because of these kind of consignments. Because, like for example, you consign a watch to a dealer. He or she takes the watches. They might sell it the next day. They get the cash, but they don't have to disclose to you that they have sold it yet. In fact, they will try to drag it out. Maybe part of the contract that you sign with them is 3 months to sell it, 6 months to sell it, who knows? And they can do whatever they want. So they can have a cash flow in the business for 3 to 6 months, and they will use it to rebuy watches that can sell fairly quickly and easily, which they know they can turn for a quick profit. And you know what watch they buy? Rolex watches. And that is a major, major problem in the pre-owned or the gray market. Of course, I'm not talking about vintage watches. I'm talking about current models where they obviously flip it. And what happens when the market drops? When the markets drop, everything drops. Everything reveals itself. You suddenly hear these consignment messes. You suddenly hear, dealers unable to pay their customers and things like that. So I won't be surprised that all these consigned watches between dealers, they're passing it around and they're selling at different prices as well. So if you like this style of content, do remember to like and to subscribe and to comment in the video. It really helps the channel and helps us to create more content like this. So here's the main problem that I have with consignment. You don't see the actual financial situation of the company or even the dealer. I mean, do you check all these before you consign? They could be in financial trouble, and that's just the honest ones. What about the dishonest ones? What about those who obviously and willingly sell watches and use it to roll? Sounds like a Ponzi scheme, doesn't it? They keep acquiring new watches with money, delay the payment, they tell you they haven't sold it yet. It allows a dealer plenty of money, plenty of cash flow, and that is a recipe for disaster. Okay, that's how a Ponzi scheme works. They take the money owed to someone. As long as new people come in to consign watches, more money comes in, they pay off the other person and they roll everything. So normally, this kind of practice comes to light when the watch market drops. When the market is hot, it's great. But like right now, Rolex prices are dropping, Vacherons are dropping, APs are dropping because they're overinflated in the first place. Dealers are not only going to go under, they might not even have money to repay. And you know what? For most of people consigning, if they can't repay you, it might be too much effort to sue them. In fact, it might be quite hard to find them, unless they are like, the timepiece gentleman, where he obviously admitted to his entire scam and entire obvious situation of doing this on the internet publicly. You won't have the evidence, or you won't have enough time or the effort to actually sue them. If they are bankrupt, would you be able to claim anything back? Without a court procedure, it could take months, years even if you're lucky. So good luck with that, because that might be a very difficult process. So in conclusion, you make the decision. All this has to stop. In fact, Rolex prices correcting, watch prices correcting has a lot to do with consignment. I believe it has a lot to do with consignment more than we know, especially in the pre-owned, especially in the grey market. Us as consumers, watch enthusiasts, have to stop consigning our watches. I know there are situations, for example, where in Federico Talks Watches, he talks about consignment very well. In fact, and there are only very situations where you should be consigning. I'll put the link in the description below as well. If you go to a watch store, if they're not going to buy from you upfront, my recommendation is don't consign it. Take your time, sell in the forums, put it on Chrono24, try to sell it. There could be a buyer who wants to buy it. Or eventually keep the watch. Keep the watch, and you realize that it is not really an investment most of the times. Because investment means that you'll be able to cash out when you need to. Is it worth it? For the extra money and possibility of getting more, the risk is all to you, and the dealer carries no risk. It's like playing poker and you're all in except you're losing. To me, I don't trust the consignment system. In fact, I think it's ridiculous. Too many variables, too many possibilities. But you know what? You decide if it's worth the risk for a little bit more of the value that you feel that the watch that you can get. And I know some of you here might have been consigning for a long time with a good dealer, you know what, good for you that, your dealer has been taking care of you, you've been consigning for many years, but you know what, it just takes one mistake in the chain, that's it, you could lose it. So here's an extra tip. In case you're buying from Chrono24 and buying from dealers, they do not require dealers to verify ownership of watches, unlike personal people selling. It is one of the features for dealers because they do know that dealers are the one trading and sometimes they're sharing watches. I don't think they have a verification of ownership of watches because you have to pay a fee every month to Chrono24. In fact, I think Chrono24 is like a dealer itself. It doesn't even support the private sales market. It's much more on the dealer side. For private sales or smaller dealers like us, we don't have a dealer account with Chrono24. We only sell like a private sale, and we only sell watches that are in our hand. We don't actually do consignment. Okay, so just take note on Chrono24. You might see one dealer selling one watch, and because they don't have a verification system that every watch must be shown to be owning on it, like a private seller, most likely some of the same watches are circulating between dealers. If you know how to watch the pictures carefully, you will see them sold and resold and relisted again under different dealers and sometimes very similar pictures. If you're hardworking enough, you might spot them. And here's an extra tip for those of you who are thinking of selling your Rolex or your watch and to know whether it has value. Just go to some of the watch dealers, any watch stores, premium watch stores, ask them how much they'll give you for a watch. You will know your watch has value if the dealer gives you an outright price. That means they're confident to sell it and that watch is in demand. But if they don't give you a value, sometimes they will not turn you down, they will offer you consignment. So you have to think about it. Or sometimes they might lowball you and give you a very, very low amount for your watch. For example, if you know the retail price for the watch is $10,000, they will offer you like $2,000 US, $3,000 US, pretty much pushing you to consign with them. And they'll tell you, hey, look, if you consign with us, you'll get more value for your watch. You might be able to sell $10,000, you might be able to sell $8,000. It is like a ploy to move you to consignment because that's where the dealers have the most leeway, have the most leverage. So thank you very much for watching to the end. I hope these tips help you very much. I know this video is going to ruffle some feathers, but it has to be said about consignment and our views on it. Enjoy your watch journey, and I hope that this helps you very much. Thank you very much and have a great day. Have a great week. Do remember to check out our other videos as well. And if you like this kind of content, please remember to like and subscribe and comment as well. Comment and tell me what are the consignment horrors and experiences you have, or maybe good experiences in consignment. Please share in the comments below so they can share with the other people who have not been experiencing consignment watches and selling watches to pre-owned or watch dealers in general.